unbelievable is the metallic rasp that happens between 8 and 9. Folks, you know, in our job, we do a lot of highway transiting. And here in Southern California, maybe where you live, there are a lot of tolls. And it sucks to have to pay tolls, but that's just a fact of life. But do you have to waste your time also? That cash lane stinks. Having a transponder that only works with one car stinks. Now, Uproad is here. It's an amazing app that is a technological solution to this problem. Just make an account, load up your payment system, and the Uproad app with the GPS on your phone knows where the tolls are, knows how much you need to pay, bills automatically. You go through the express lane, saving you time and therefore saving you money. It really works, and you can register up to 10 of your own vehicles or carry it with you in a rented car or whatever, right? It doesn't need to be mated to the car. That's what makes it so great. And if you hit the link in the video description, we'll get you $10 in toll credits for downloading and using Uproad. And thanks to Uproad for sponsoring today's video. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to, you know, one of the most special cars ever made. This is the Porsche Cayman GT4 RS with Weissach pack and magnesium wheels. In fact, this is the very same car I drove on the track last month, because there's only 2 of these on the West Coast right now. One with Weissach and one no Weissach. The gray car has the Weissach. In this video, Zach and I will answer only one question. Is this thing any good on the street, or is it too much RS as a street car? I would please like to refer you to my video on the racetrack from last month, in which I yapped for 4 or 5 minutes with this entire spec sheet and crazy features and all that stuff, everything that's in this car. And then I drove it at, I don't know if it's the limit, but certainly at my limit on the track, and I had an incredible time, and the sound was just out of this world. And
to be said, it was Streets of Willow, which was paved months ago, so it's a very, very smooth surface. And this is a little bit more of a slightly bumpy canyon surface.
Right, and we're on a relatively good canyon road today. I mean, it's a good road, but the tarmac is relatively new. It's pretty smooth, but I also drove it 50 miles out here on the freeway, and I'm going to talk about that as well. It is a true RS product. It's light.
It sounds and feels like it.
It's light, it's loud, it's stiff. You can feel the fact that all the panels are carbon fiber. You can hear all the rocks that getting kicked up into the wheel wells.
I can feel the engine vibration through my seat right now. Just at idle. Just idling.
It has stiffer engine mounts, and as you can maybe see, or there'll be a B-roll shot, the airbox is in the car with you. It's not under a cover.
So cool.
It's not behind a window. That piece of carbon fiber right there is the top of the actual airbox, and the intakes come in where there once were quarter windows are now carbon fiber intakes.
Which is super cool.
Which is super cool. It's 500 horsepower. It's the GT3 engine, right? Adapted for a mid-engine configuration.
So flipped around.
They got to change some stuff. And the gearbox is a hodgepodge of Porsche other parts. But the long and short of it is the PDK gear ratios are much shorter than the regular Boxster Spyder or GT4, which allow you to spend more time up near the 9,000 RPM red line. Okay, no more wasting time. Let's just go. Listen to this, Zach.
In this car at all.
Yeah, Zach's getting the initial impression experience.
Wow. I feel like I'm riding on the back of the GT3 RS and holding on with my ear down by the exhaust system.
So the overwhelming sensation is the intake noise, which you're sharing in here, right? You can play an intake symphony.
Oh my God. That's just that flat six buzzsaw. Like, it's like sitting by the racetrack, but you're sitting, I don't know, on the car.
I just downshifted from 7,500. I was at 7,500 and I went, I'm gonna go down a gear.
Beyond most cars' red line.
Yeah, so this thing spins and revs so freely and so smoothly. Good
Lord.
How unbelievable is the metallic rasp that happens between 8 and 9? Just insane.
Wow.
Right?
Ooh, these seats are good.
Brakes,
wow.
Carbon ceramic, extremely powerful. Turn in, very sharp. And being a Cayman, it's the right size for a canyon road. Not too big, not too wide. And it's very fun to bang the rev limiter at 9. Super sharp, very balanced when you load it up.
Jeez.
And with the shortened gear ratios, you can actually get to red line on a canyon road.
Right, because one of the big complaints with the GT4 and basically all the other 718s is like the gearing was really, really tall.
Right.
You know, and now they fixed that and they gave you more power. Because what, second gear goes to 70 in this?
Second gear is like 72, 73.
In the other ones, could you go all the way to 60 in first? Or do you have a shift?
Yeah, ooh, I don't recall.
That's like the Lamborghini trick?
I don't think you can.
Okay, so it's probably close.
We have Harley. This video, unfortunately, we had to shoot a little later in the day and a little later in the week than we would prefer. But when we're talking about GT4 RS, beggars cannot be choosers. We'll take what we can get.
While we're riding slowly, how was your freeway trip?
So while we were going slowly, and maybe this Harley Davidson will move over, this car beats the shit out of you on the freeway. I almost spilled my coffee. Like, you can't take a sip of your coffee unless you really can see that it's smooth ahead, or unless you're stopped at a light or something. It's bumpy and bouncy, and even the soft suspension, which we're in right now, this is the soft setting. There's no reason to use the hard setting ever. But the soft setting is still stiff and bumpy, and I honestly, as good as, oh, please pull over here. No, we're not gonna do it.
He doesn't have any mirrors. He doesn't
even know we're here. Yeah. Because he's hidden his mirrors. Even with as amazing as the powertrain and the rest of the car is, I wouldn't want to daily it. It's too much. You might be able to hear my seat rubbing against the roll cage. So there's that. That's one thing I wouldn't really love.
I mean, when we pulled out of the parking lot, like going over a couple of cracks, I was bouncing all over the place.
We'll make ourselves a gap if this guy's not going to know we're there. But I
mean, I felt that way about the GT3 RS also. Yeah. Like, it's great, but it is pretty brutal to drive around town.
All the RS products are brutal to drive around town. It doesn't mean that you know, you wouldn't want to drive it to the racetrack. You wouldn't want to bear the freeway to get to your canyon. But you know, you could certainly daily drive a regular Cayman or a Boxster. You could daily drive a GTS. It would be delightful. Yep. You could even daily drive a GT4 or a Boxster Spider with the comfort seats in it. That's totally doable. With this, unless you live somewhere where the roads are amazingly glass smooth, this will beat you up. A little more, and then Zach can drive up. The balance of power to brake to size to weight, totally in harmony. It's super, super fast, but it never feels quite like it's going to get away from you or overwhelm you with the torque, you know? Woo! Woo! And you can, you know, you get a little of those every once in a while because the throttle is so sharp that if you're kind of pushing into it as you hit some bumps, you can get that. It doesn't bother me. It's kind of a race car vibe.
We had that problem with the Rivian also. Basically, any motor or powertrain that's really responsive, you know, the throttle has to be calibrated just so. race car experience inside. Holy crap.
Right?
Wow. The blast, the response is so, even from this seat I can tell, like, the response is so
that
good.
That metallic rasp is like my favorite thing in the world. All right, so there's a spot up here. Now that we've caught this Harley again, we'll flip around. This video doesn't need to be 45 minutes long. You'll get the idea. But we need to see Zach's first impression, because my first impression of this thing on the track was amazing. But I don't think I really appreciated how loud it is with a helmet on, you know? Now that I've got it with no helmet on, I'm like, you live in the airbox.
Yeah, you're gonna have tinnitus later.
Yeah.
You're like, how's the turning radius in this car?
Not as good as the 911's because it's got wide wheels and no rear steer, but manageable.
All right.
Yeah.
And that's how they sell the car.
Joy Machine.
Joy Machine. Oh man.
Razor sharp, right?
Razor sharp. This highlights all the flaws in the Elantra N's steering that I drove up here. Like, this is what an E-Pass should be. So it just feels, I mean, this is like, it's not unexpected, because the GT4 and the 718 platform were already so balanced and so even, but now you just add more of everything. It's more everything.
More race car.
God, it's so nimble. Wow!
Sticky front end,
so
right?
Sticky, yeah, really good.
So with these tires specifically, before they get warm, it can push a little bit because they're R compound, right? So you gotta get heat in them. But when you do, watch over crest.
Damping's good, yeah. It settles really quick. It is stiff, but it figures that out really easily. Good brakes. Oh, such good brakes.
Yeah.
This makes me like pine for the days when Ferrari didn't have turbos on their cars.
Yeah.
Because you'd have that awesome shriek sound right behind you.
Yeah. It's like it's the best NA engine ever.
Ooh, you can feel that little bit of scrub in the back. I mean, those hard engine mounts and the bushings, like I could feel the tire going as we came out of that corner. Mid-corner downshift is messy, but not a problem.
Change gear whenever you want.
Pretty much, right?
Cyclist.
Yep.
I know you saw it, sorry.
No.
I can't help but call it out.
It's always good. It's good to have redundant safety.
Riding up this road is gnarly.
Yeah.
Good for you, sir.
How far? We're like 30 miles up,
It's far,
we?
yeah.
I mean, they've been at it for a while. What an oral experience.
Right? It's
wow.
Everything, I mean, because it sounds great all the time, but like, you really got to be past 6.
Yeah, which is hard to do. This makes me think of the Lamborghini STO, which had the airbox, but it was just to cool the engine. It wasn't the intake.
Oh yeah,
like what a missed opportunity. Oh my God! Wow, that sound. I'm gonna go down to 2 just to go back to 3. Like I don't want to rev it out in 3rd.
Notes to supercar makers: put airbox in cabin.
Yeah. The tone really, really changes from 8 to 9.
Yeah.
It's not just louder, it's like a different pitch. Yeah, I mean, anyone who buys one of these is gonna be pretty happy, as long as they don't try to drive it, you know, on like the Jersey Turnpike or any really bumpy road.
It's not great on bumpy highways. You get tossed around a lot, you know?
Yeah.
It's bearable, and you know what you're getting when you buy an RS product, but it's not like it's not like it's focused on that. It's really focused on track work and very smooth canyon roads.
Yeah, and that was the intent of the car. So like, I'm not criticizing it for being bumpy on
it just is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, as a track car, toy, race car, I mean, just
so gnarly.
Mid-engine is just so good, and it really confirms everything we suspected about this platform as soon as they built it. They're like, we're just like, when are they going to put the good engine in? When are they going to put the good engine in?
The Cayman complex, we would call it. It's just so great.
It sounds like a bunch of saws just yelling at each other.
Cyclist.
Oh, thank you.
And the top of third gear is like 20 or 25 mile an hour shorter in this than it is in the regular GT4.
That's a huge delta.
It's a big delta, and so you really rip through the gears quicker. It gives you much more opportunity to use the top of the power band, and it's just it livens up the car even more, you know?
And the experience. Like, I drove, you know, all the 718s like back to back one day in Malibu. I don't think I ever really hit redline because
it's tough.
Even in second, it was so fast.
It's tough.
Now, back to 2. Man, the suspension dampening is nice.
And don't forget, we just passed that sign. We're at 5,000 feet.
Wow.
So we're not even really making all the potential power of this engine.
Yeah.
You know? We're probably down 10%
at least
up here.
And you're so right, it downshifted 284.
Yeah.
It goes, I have the revs, I will do that. And
yeah, like other cars,
yeah.
They won't give you a gear unless you've got a certain cushion at the top. The cushion on this car is 1. If you have 1 RPM left to give, it will give you the gear.
Yeah.
Like
that's how it should be, but a lot of cars don't do that.
Isn't that wild?
Oh wow!
What a car, right?
Yeah, what a car.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I'm not really sure how I could improve this. I mean, manual, it would be nice if it came with a manual. I don't know if I could keep up. I certainly wouldn't want to drive it in manual on a track.
It'd be hard.
On the street, a manual would be really fun, and I would enjoy it. But beyond that non-existent choice of not having a manual, I'm not really sure how I would improve this product.
That's why we don't have the job that AP has, you know?
Right.
I mean, the seats are good, the tactile, everything's good. This is a great...
So, you know, is it great on the street? Like, yeah, it is. It is great on the street. It's just not great as a daily driver in a bumpy city. You know, it'll beat you up. And if, by the way, it has nose lift, which is good.
Very good.
But if you do lift the nose, it gets really bumpy.
Oh yeah, because then there's no spring.
Right.
Yeah,
It gets super bumpy. So if you, it's like, oh, it's got nose lift, it's not a problem. But like, you really don't want to drive around with nose lift.
Oh, good Lord, no.
Unless you don't, you know, it'll get you into the driveway or whatever. But
I think what we're saying is, don't be the person that wants to stunt around town and look like race car driver if you don't go to the track all the time, because you will just be sacrificing your own comfort, and it doesn't make sense.
Right. And compared to the, as I said in the track video, which you should have watched by now, compared to the Demand Motorsport 4.5 liter engine that I'm getting in my Boxster Spider when they fish it from the bottom of the ocean, the difference here between this and that, first off, my car is going to make a lot more power. My car is going to make 65 more horsepower. It's going to make about 55 more torque.
Jeez.
But you don't get the revs. The red line is 7,800 in my car. The red line here is 9. And as we've just demonstrated both here and on the track, what happens between 8 and 9 is quite special.
Yeah, it's good.
And so with my car, because I'm going to use it as a street car and a canyon car, it'll have more mid-range punch. And it'll sound cool, don't get me wrong. That thing's going to sound cool. But it'll have more mid-range punch from 3 to 6, which is where I'm more likely to spend my time.
Yeah.
Versus this, on a track or whatever, you're up at 7, 8, 9, and you get that metallic rasp that is really worth the money. It's very, very cool.
Wow.
So thanks to Porsche for letting us have another go on the street. Please go watch my track video. I've also got a Just the Noise video on the track. I'm also writing this up for Road and Track magazine, so you can read some written words there as well, with photographs by Jamie Lippman, which we shot this morning. So thanks to you guys for watching, and we'll see you later. Bye.
And remember, always fight your tickets. Use code TST10 on the Off the Record app, available in the Android and iOS store, or go to offtherecord.com/TST.